Okay guys, winter is coming. The first frost is just a couple of days away, and as you can see, I actually managed to grow some peppers this year. I got a bell pepper here, I got some nice long peppers over here, I have a whole collection of them here. I mean, that's the whole squad. And I want to keep these plants so that next year in the spring, I don't have to start from seed anymore. I can just start directly from these plants. So let's say you've grown a bunch of peppers, you know your frost is coming. What do you need to do in order to keep it alive over winter? Well, the first thing you gotta do is actually choose which pepper plants you're gonna invest the time in and keep around. So for example, this one over here didn't get off to a great start. It's still very, very tiny. The pepper, you know, it's not looking good. That thing's not gonna survive. So this one is probably not worth keeping. But this one, for example, is the one that gave me my nicest bell pepper, which means I'm definitely going to be keeping this one around. And as you can see, it's got a nice stem here, a nice leaf structure starting. I mean, for first season of peppers, this is not bad at all. This one also produced peppers like crazy, so I'm definitely going to keep this one around as well. But this one, for example, didn't do well. It's not worth keeping around. And I'm probably going to go ahead and keep this one as well. As you can see, it's still very leafy. It just got off to a late start this season, but the stem is great. It's got a beautiful structure. So yeah, be a little bit selective about which pepper plants you want to keep, because overwintering isn't easy, and the plant itself does need to be relatively hardy in order for it to survive, you know, kind of the hibernation period, let's call it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make it look a lot more like this than like this, because this is going to be a problem. Those leaves are all points that could freeze over, transfer frost into the plant, and you really don't want that. You want to just cut the plant back as much as possible. Ideally, you're only going to have like a couple of these forks left in the plant, and honestly, my leaves just fell off, which was very convenient. Here, for example, you can imagine this was like a bush up here, and they've all just fallen off. So, I mean, this structure is perfect. If you've got a much bigger structure than that, you are going to want to prune it back until it looks something like this, where you've got the main stem and maybe like 1 or 2 offshoots left maximum. Now, if you've been growing them in the ground, you are going to want to put them in containers, because in containers, you have some control over the growing condition, and you can control a little bit the environment. Even better, if you've got a garage, you're going to want to move the pepper plants into the garage. I don't. I'm going to have to keep them out in the balcony this year. Obviously, keeping them inside would be better, but I'm going to go ahead and try anyway. But that is an important step. If you can do it, make sure you do it. So how are we going to keep this alive? Well, ideally, you buy a specific kind of cloth material that's perfect for insulating plants. I've got some good old garbage trash bags, which I'm going to try to use. I really hope that works. But guys, just invest in a little bit of cloth or whatever for your plants. I mean, it's not expensive, and it's going to be worth it. So you've chosen your best plants. You've trimmed them back. You have a garage, and you're probably going to be fine, or you don't have a garage, in which case you're going to need to sacrifice some things to the gods, and you've got your trash bags. Now, what's point number 5? Well, you might have noticed these stakes over here. If I just drape the trash bag right over this plant, I'm putting all of the pressure on it, and all of the points where the plant is actually touching the plastic bag are nucleation points for frost to just kind of transfer from the bag right into the plant, right? So what you're going to end up with is this plant just kind of sticking to the bag and freezing over at that point. So what you want to do is build kind of a cage around it so that the bag is sitting on top of the cage and not directly touching the plant. So for that, I mean, I've just got a bunch of stakes over here. It really is just a matter of kind of plopping them down in the soil. This one's probably a bit too long, but you guys get the point. So I'm going to go ahead and plop a couple more. This is just for illustration purposes. Please be a bit better about it if you're going to do this yourself. Here we go. We need about 1 more. That's a bit tricky. Obviously, I'm going to harvest this pepper right before. I'm not just going to leave that there. And let's do 1 more over here. And in fact, I'm going to try to right this plant a little bit because it is leaning a little bit to the side. I know it's too late in the season for that, but for the purposes of this, where I really don't want the bag to have any contact with the plant, I'm just going to push it a little bit with a stake so that it's centered in between these. Now, these are obviously a little bit longer than they need to be, In fact, they should probably just be cut back down to here, which I probably will do, honestly. But for the purposes of the illustration, you guys get what I'm doing, right? Build a cage around your pepper plant. Then, you want to come back to your trash bags, and you want to grab a nice one. This is a pretty big trash bag, honestly. And you can go ahead and compare the size of the bag to the plant. So as you can see, honestly, I might need even bigger trash bags for this. But, you know, I'm just illustrating the point right now. So now that you've got your bag, it's literally just a matter of draping it over here, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, obviously, this bag isn't long enough, but you guys get the point, right? I'm going to need to take those stakes way down, probably use just the single ones. Risk a little bit of the bag touching the plant, but it's going to be fine, I think, I hope. We'll see. All of these others are going to be much easier to kind of support with the stakes and put a bag on.
And now a quick little pepper packaging montage. I do hope you've been enjoying the video so far. As you can see, I'm now putting some stakes in there, some chainsaw clearing out the leaves. Remember to pull off the pepper. Captain speaking, blah blah, I'm running out of things to say, montage is almost over, and back to the video.
And there you have it, guys. This one, I'm pretty happy with how I've done that. Obviously, take that pepper off before you put it in the bag, but this is pretty much what it should look like. Ideally, even if you're able to secure this down here, get the seal really nice and tight, that's going to be even better. But yeah, this is what you're kind of aiming for. An extra step, guys, of course, is to mulch your container as much as possible. This by itself is going to be a huge help for the plant to maintain kind of a warmer temperature in that soil. So please make sure you also go ahead and mulch. You can just buy some loose straw mulch and just throw it on there. This is a really important step too. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's a really important reason why you're going to want to try to do that. And I think it's just important to reiterate it, because if you're growing it from seed, it's going to take about 110 days in order for that plant to fully grow and actually start producing some peppers for you. But if you start with an already existing plant, it's going to skip all that step of having to actually build the plant. It's just going to go straight to producing leaves. It'll grow a little bit, but after that, it's already ready to start producing peppers. So the whole idea is that you jumpstart your harvest for that year. And peppers are a plant that can stay in the ground and keep producing peppers many, many, many years in a row. So they're the perfect candidate for this kind of thing. So imagine actually having fully formed peppers by, I don't know, mid-June, instead of having to wait until like September for them. And not only that, if you pick them, the plant is going to keep producing even more peppers throughout that whole season. So you get your peppers earlier and you get way more peppers per plant. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned how to overwinter your peppers with me today. And if you like more gardening content, you've got a basic setup like I do, go ahead and subscribe, because I'm going to keep pumping out these gardening videos. See ya!